Hi guys, I have been doing a lot of thinking this week. Wait a minute, I can explain this.
3, 2, 1. Und auf dies!
A little bit of history for you here. Ludwig III was getting married and he started the Oktoberfest as a party for the people. It started as horse racing and generally just the public coming together to celebrate the marriage. And then it continued. If we take, for example, the Lebkuchen here, that only started 35 years ago, so the tradition has been modified. This applies to our cards too. Wait a minute, I can explain this better. Give me a minute. So, we start with one event that makes us smile and we repeat. So we do another event, makes us smile even more. It gets bigger. And we add more to it, like our lovely Lebkuchenherzen. And then we add the biggest Riesenrad, the biggest fairground ride available, and make it huge. Now add to that a lot of beer and you know what the Oktoberfest is about. But how does this relate to our cards and the traditions that we have with our cartomancy, our card laying? Well, that's quite interesting because we do start with the original instructions. We start with information from a publisher or the person who has created the deck. So we start here. That information then is taken in the hands of a reader and the reader interprets it and they keep practicing. So they use this interpretation and they keep practicing to teach more people. Then those people have their traditions and they add to that. So it becomes bigger or wider. The interpretation becomes wider. And then another person comes along and adds even more to it. Our cartomancy traditions grow. So what does this mean for the cards themselves? If we look at Lenormand, for example, right back at the beginning, we have our Game of Hope and we have our early Lenormand instructions. Now they are clearly based on near and far. That means how close a card is to the man or the lady card you're querent. The instructions set information on each card. Let's take our fox, for example, because that is very controversial. Our fox strolls in here at the Game of Hope as a card that drives you crazy. He seriously is such a bad card, he drives you crazy. We move on to the Lenormand instructions and they tell us the fox is wrong. Wrong, he's bad. The fox is bad. And then somebody along the line has said, I'm going to teach people, but I don't like fox being wrongness. A fox to me is clever. A fox to me is cunning. A fox to me has all these attributes that aren't wrong. And the interpretation has grown. It's grown wider. Information from that original instruction has been taken, modified, and grown larger. The teacher who originally changed the meaning of fox to a work card, a cunning, sly work card, modified it and then taught a load more people who continue to use that interpretation. So it has been modified and it has grown as tradition does. Because a reader states that they are using traditional methods, it doesn't mean that it pans back to the early instructions. So I'm going to teach you today a traditional look at the week ahead. And when I say traditional, I mean it's based on the earliest instructions, but the techniques have been passed down through generations. So the first thing we do is we shuffle our deck. We set our intentions for a week ahead using this format. Do it at the end so you know what the format is. I then deal the cards into 6 equal piles. Take your first pile and we lay it top to bottom. The first thing we do is look for our main character. She sits here in the spread, quite centrally. The only columns we are interested in are those that are touching her column. So the extra columns are classed as having little influence on her week. So in these columns, we hope to see the negative cards, so that the negative cards won't have an influence on her week. And you interpret all the cards that are touching her. Once you have, that is your week ahead, the cards that are touching her. The other cards in the row, if they're above her head, they have an influence on her. If they're below her, she's in control of it, or he's in control of it. So the cards above her head are influences, whether positive or negative. You hope that your positive cards come around here. And the ones beneath will be ones that she's in control of, and ones she will have to act on and deal with. Have a go at that one and tell me what your week ahead is. Post in any of my groups and maybe start your own tradition. Try laying this on a Friday afternoon and posting, seeing how your week ahead is. So, where am I going with this? Well, I'm not really going anywhere, just to make you aware that there are so many great teachers out there, and don't be afraid to ask them what their thoughts are on a system. Have a good one.